All right. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of House of Strikes. This is an exciting week for New York Third Strike. As you know, tomorrow we will be having another edition of The Shelter, and that will serve as a pre-warm-up session for Fight Club 6, which is on Saturday. So once again, my name is Mutant XP, and alongside Nica KO. And so, how you doing, Lloyd?
I'm doing good. How's it going, everybody? Welcome, everybody, to House of Strikes. And obviously, these are the topics we have for tonight. We're going to be having our Fight Club predictions. How many Fight Club matches we have? We have about one, two, three, four, about five or six.
Uh,
6 matches or so.
Five that are for sure going down.
Oh,
Six maybe.
true. One is
We shall
tentative.
see.
But after that, we will be going. We'll be checking out which match will probably be the best Fight Club match that would be expected, and then afterwards we have a special guest tonight, none other than the Warden of the North,
The Lone Wolf.
the Lone Wolf, Lance from Alaska, aka Alaska Punches, as RKF says. But yeah, we'll be talking to Lance for a little bit, asking him about his time in Japan, asking about other things. But we'll
Like
also
living
be
in Alaska.
there's that too. What's it like living in Winterfell? But after that, we'll be going through the Oki of the week. We'll specifically be going over a couple of Lance's matches, so we'll be checking some of that out, and then of course the parting shots. So, with that said, just a reminder for you guys that Fight Club 6 is this Saturday. So if you guys have your hotels ready, just make sure to practice up.
Practice up.
That's right.
All right. So let's get right to it. And so, as we had mentioned before, Fight Club 6 is set to go down this Saturday, starting at around noon, which is when Next Level opens. We have a pretty stacked schedule of really entertaining events lined up for this Saturday. We are going to begin the day with the New Blood Battle Royal, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. We're also going to be doing a very special team tournament, and we're going to be doing something different for Fight Club 6. We will be having a same character team tournament in which all team members must use the same character. For those of you who are planning to attend Fight Club 6 and you don't have a teammate, don't worry. We will help you find teammates. And if in the event there are certain players that can't find members who use the same characters or are willing to use the same characters, we will allow for some mixed teams. But the majority of the teams will be made up of same characters. And we already have about 4 or 5 teams that are already pretty much confirmed for that tournament. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then obviously, we're going to have the main fight card, and we're going to have a series of exhibition slash money matches to round out the night. We have a couple changes that we have to announce, and so we're going to get to that in a little bit. But definitely, for those of you who are in the New York area, I know that this week Street Fighter V came out, and so there's a lot of hoopla and a lot of attention on that. But if you want to know where the roots of Street Fighter came from, then definitely make it out to Next Level on Saturday and check out some third strike action, some high level third strike action. And also, if you can't make it to Fight Club 6, obviously tune in to Nica KO's Twitch channel, Nica_KO. Now, let's go ahead and run down the card for Saturday night's event. And so one of the matches that we're going to have on Saturday, a match that I am looking forward to, will be DeRage taking on Jerry Rice. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jerry Rice, he actually is from here, but then he moved to Austin, Texas. And he used to play over there at Arcade UFO. Another match that I'm pretty hyped for is Little Kevin, CF, Necro Legend.
The best
take
Necro. Second
one of the
best.
best necros in New York, taking on New Blood Sensation, Blood Cell.
Hmm.
And so that's going to be a pretty exciting match. Little Kevin's very solid, Blood Cell's very unpredictable, and so we'll see what happens. And we're going to have yet another Necro
Oh my
money match.
god.
Good God Almighty!
This is all because you won fucking NEC with Necro.
And so we're going to have the best Necro in New York, Anti-Shoto,
Versus the
taking on-
competition.
taking on D-Tech! It's going to be so sick. Now let's get serious. Now, originally Gavin was supposed to schedule to face Adam, but apparently the Chun players want to stick together that day. And so we're going to mix it up and have Gavin taking on Hispanic Jap, who is making his highly anticipated return to Fight Club. The graphic says he's going to use Urien, but actually he's going to use Makoto, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then the main event, Lloyd. Oh my God!
This is yours. This is all yours.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
This is one of the
I don't
biggest
even
ones.
know.
I mean, yeah, people make a whole bunch of shit about Denjis playing me, but this Denjis versus Frankie. Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, because
So,
we've all seen Frankie play in like the past couple of Fight Clubs, and you know he's done okay. Like he beat me in the first ever Fight Club, and then after a while, you know, kind of went a little bit downhill. But then with Bisu, he just came back and he destroyed Bisu at Summer Jam.
shoutouts to Bisu.
Shoutouts to
miss you.
Bisu.
We miss you, Hal. When are you coming to another event in the East Coast? But anyway, any event, that's neither here nor there. And so our first topic of the night: what are your predictions, Lloyd, for the fight card this Saturday? Who's coming out on top? Who's gonna be salty?
Well, there's gonna be a lot of salty people, obviously.
So let's begin with the Rage versus Jerry, because you know I have some very strong opinions about this match. But you can go ahead and go first, Lloyd.
Rage versus Jerry. I mean, obviously you have some strong opinions, but I'm gonna take the defense for Rage and say that he's going to come out on top of this match.
Score?
5-3. 5
3.
5-3 Rage. That's what I personally think. Now you may shake your head all you want. You may be, you know, until your head falls off. It don't matter, cause
If
personally,
Rage wins on Saturday, my head might fall off.
well, if it does, then you'll fucking roll all the way to the garbage, cause that's how much your prediction is.
No,
But-
no.
so then-
Go ahead.
So 5-3 Rage simply because, you know, Rage has the experience in Fight Club matches, while Jerry, I mean, you know, yeah, he has good reactions. Yeah, he plays a lot with good players, but it's just he crumbles. He crumbles very hard when he plays, and at least with Rage, you know, he has that type of style where, you know, it's not like where it excels at a specific point where like okay, he's gonna go for offense a lot,
Mhm.
or whether you know he crumbles under pressure like in terms of defense. You know, if he plays a high level player, he plays the same exact way. Whether he plays you, whether he plays me, if he gets fucked up, he gets fucked up the same exact way. So with Jerry, you know, I don't think he's gonna put that much pressure on him so that he'll fuck up a lot. Personally, I think Rage is gonna showcase some of that high tech shit that he showed against Danish, some reversals and shit.
He showed one reversal, Lloyd.
He showed a couple of punishments, which was pretty impressive for me and Frankie. So I don't know about what the hell you're talking about, but you know, personally, I think Rage is gonna take it 5-3. So
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it real with the Street Monsters.
keep it real. They want to know.
My Ken is hot garbage. Okay, I have probably one of the worst Kens in the history of American Dirt Strike. For those of you who watched NEC, you know that me and Rage had a money match, Ken v Ken, mirror.
Not official.
Lloyd, can you tell me? I kind of forgot the score. What was the score of that money match? What was it? Do you
Mm.
remember? No. Was it so was it so horrible that you kind of erased it from your memory banks? What was the score of that match? Oh God. I know it was close.
It was alright.
It
It
was
was alright. It was alright. By your standards, it was okay.
I 5-0'd Rage. Ken v Ken. Rage didn't even win a round. and you're telling me that he's gonna beat Jerry? Get out of here. I have bet four people.
See, because
I have side bet four people. Okay, I'm about to make like $100 on one match. Okay,
let
everyone
me
who's
tell you
betting
something.
on Rage is smoking crack. Okay, because there is no way Rage is gonna beat Jerry. All right.
You say that now, but it's as if you're making the comparison that Jerry equals you.
No,
And
I'm
not to
not saying
mention the
that.
fact, not to mention the fact that
If I can five
you
if I can
practiced a
five
lot by
if I
playing
can
me.
I know, but if I can 5-0 Rage and Jerry is technically superior to Rage, he has better execution, he has better mix-ups. The only thing that Rage has going for him is that he has better nerves than Jerry.
That's what's
But
gonna matter.
but as long as Jerry can come in there and just do his thing and not try too much, it should be very easy for Jerry.
I don't.
So my
I mean,
prediction,
we all know how Fight Club matches go, and it always comes down to how much nerves you have.
yeah.
If you don't have the nerves of steel like the way we're built, then you're not gonna do that much. I mean, you can crumble the same way Bisu did.
And so
Look at
my prediction is it's going to be Jerry 5-3.
okay, all right.
So
I respect the fact that you're giving Rage 3 wins, so uh, I won't contest that too much.
and these wins are going to be fluke wins.
I knew you were gonna
None of
say
these wins are going to be earned, okay? It's going to be Jerry messing up a confirm or, Rage doing some bullshit, So, it's not even going to be legit wins. All right?
we'll see
So
what
let's
happens.
so let's move on to the next match. I don't even know about this next match. No, let's talk first about Anti-Shoto versus D-Tech.
Okay.
So we
Now,
haven't seen D-Tech in a while, and we know Anti-Shoto had a pretty strong showing at NEC. He could have done a little better in the tournament, but he did win his last fight card match against Eat from Nebraska. And so what do you think about this match, Lloyd?
I mean, it's like you said, we haven't seen D-Tech in a while, and he made a pretty. I mean, I'm gonna go out of here and just tell you guys what he said. Now, he came out of the woodworks, not showing up to a tournament for a while, ever since Summer Jam, I think. And he came out and he said that he's one of the top tier players in New York. Now, take that whatever way you want, believe it if you want, it doesn't matter. If you make a statement like that, you have to back it up. You have to have the skill to back it up. Now, against Anti-Shoto, we've all seen him at a bunch of fight clubs. We've seen him play pretty well against high level players. I mean, he's done pretty well for himself. So this clash of Anti-Shoto versus D-Tech, the best Necro versus a top tier player in New York, I mean, one of them is gonna crumble under this. And personally, I think it's gonna be D-Tech. Not because, I don't think he's not good or anything like that, but he just he just doesn't do well against things that don't make sense to him. And Anti-Shoto style will not make sense to him. So personally, I think it's going to be Anti-Shoto 5-2.
5-2.
5-2.
Wow. Well,
So,
the
as I
reason
said
why
before, with that statement, you know, with that statement of him saying that he's a top tier player, you know, that's a big statement to make. So,
well,
you can back it up.
one of the reasons why we made this match is because Anti-Shoto and D-Tech actually met fairly recently in a tournament.
That too.
It was back in Defend the North.
What
And
is that? What tournament was it?
it was and then back at Defend the North, Anti-Shoto actually beat D-Tech. I think it was 2-1. I have to go ahead and go back to the footage. But the match was relatively close. I just feel like, D-Tech wasn't very familiar with Anti-Shoto's gimmicks.
Hmm.
And so I think as long as D-Tech, and none of us have any idea whether or not D-Tech has been practicing for this match. We have no idea whether or not he's been in the lab or he's been looking up, necro strategies. But, for the Ken Necro matchup, this isn't free for Ken. But I feel like when they played and Defend the North, D-Tech lost primarily because of his unfamiliarity with the
With the
matchup.
matchup.
And so hopefully Green Tea, or Jerry or Greek. They've talked to Denzel and they've tried to kind of help him navigate that matchup. And just watch out for some of the gimmicks because, what makes Anti-Shoto so dangerous is because he has so many things that he can do with Necro. He has so many tools. He's so creative,
This mix up too.
offensively. And so, sorry guys, there's a little technical difficulty with Skype. But and so I think, I also think that Anti-Shoto is going to win, but I think it might be a little closer than 5-2. I think it might be 5-4
Hmm.
Anti-Shoto.
Interesting.
So once again, guys, we apologize for the technical difficulties. It appears as though we lost Lance. So, but in any event, let's go ahead and talk about the next match, which
So the next
is
one, Bledsoe versus Little Kevin. You still don't know?
yeah, I don't know about this match. I really don't know.
Well, personally, I think I'm cool with Bledsoe. Like he's a good player. Like he's definitely learned a lot. He's definitely leveled up a lot. But personally, I think Little Kevin is going to take it.
Okay.
So I think he's gonna take it 5-3.
Hmm.
I was a little in between 5-4 and 5-3, but personally I gave it 5-3 because the same way D-Tech isn't really familiar with the Necro matchup. I don't think Bledsoe is going to be familiar with the Necro matchup in terms of playing against Kevin. Because we all know little Kevin, he has like that defensive style, compared to Anti-Shoto.
Hmm.
And Bledsoe's so used to playing on PSN with Anti-Shoto that it's not the same exact thing. So Bledsoe might have some expectations with that matchup, and you know, I just think that with the style that Kevin has, it's going to be 5-3, and it'll be a good match overall though. So
Okay. Okay. Good. So uh, the next match, and this is going to be a very very good match, I think. It's Hispanic Jap taking on Gavin. Gavin will obviously be rocking that Chun Li, and Hispanic Jap is known for his colorful carousel of different characters. He's going to
pick a
use.
name out of a hat.
I mean, for example, he's going to be using Urien in the team tournament. He also
Yeah.
has a Dudley, which he used primarily at Summer Jam. But for the fight card, he's going to be rocking Makoto. So Makoto versus Chun, Hispanic Jap versus Gavin. What do you think, Lloyd?
I personally I like that choice better than the other choices that he has, because Makoto she does pretty well versus Chun, and against Gavin I know he has a little trouble against Makoto. Obviously because of the command grabs and stuff, but with the way Hispanic Chat plays Makoto, I still think Gavin will pull it out because of his knowledge of the matchup in general. He
Hmm.
has a bigger knowledge of the proper punishments, like the proper distances to play Makoto with, and I personally I think Gavin is gonna win it 5-3, but every match
Okay.
I think is gonna be very close.
Mm.
So it's not gonna be a free 5-3. It's gonna be pretty close.
As of now, there are no Makoto teams scheduled to compete at Fight Club 6.
Mhm.
And as some of you may or may not be aware of, no one in New York currently mains Makoto. We used to have a Makoto main. His name was Damon, a very solid and strong Makoto player from New York, but he has since moved to Texas. And so I don't really know how much practice Gavin has with the Makoto matchup. And so I think this is definitely one of those trap matches for Gavin because I don't know how familiar he is with the matchup.
Mm,
And so, and Gavin is essentially taking this match in short notice. Well, so is Hispanic Jap, right?
true.
Because
Yeah.
remember, it was supposed to be a Chun mirror. It was supposed to be Gavin versus Adam in a
Yeah.
Chun mirror. Uh, but because Adam wants to team with his brother Ahmed and Gavin, they figured they didn't want to have to play each other in the exhibition later on in the night. So, I don't, this is another one of those matches where I don't know. I really don't know. Like I mean, if you put me on the spot,
I will put you on the spot.
I'm gonna say 5-4 Hispanic jab.
Ooh. Okay. All right. You know, it's
But
funny
but
because
but but but
everybody in the
I also agree with you. I think the matches are going to be very close. I think every match
yeah,
is going to be close.
because personally, I mean, well, you know, like I said, I think it's just because Gavin has a lot more knowledge of the matchups. But you know, it's funny that you know the people in the chat, like some of them say it's going to be really close too, like 5-4. So either it can go either way. I mean, this is why this is one of those good matches that, you know, even though it's short notice, like it's gonna be a pretty good one, you know,
Hmm.
for everybody to watch. So it'll be interesting.
And so finally, we have the main event.
The main event.
I feel like if we have time during the night, I feel like this needs more than a first to five, Lloyd. I don't know. I feel like it needs more, but I don't know. We're
Like
we're,
a
we're
first
gonna
to
keep it.
seven?
Yeah, but we're gonna keep it to first to five, maybe first to seven. We'll see what Denges and Frankie, how they're feeling. But the main event obviously is
If that goes to a
Frankie.
first to seven, my heart is gonna
Yeah,
explode.
yeah. I'm gonna have to watch some Street Fighter 4 to calm me down or something. So the main event is gonna be Frankie versus Denges. And what are your thoughts on that match, Lloyd? Who do you think is gonna come out on top?
Obviously, I gotta root for my boy Frankie because he's also my co-host. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go for Frankie in this
Mm-hmm.
one, 5-3.
Five
And
three.
not because, you know, I don't like Denges or because he beat me or something like that, but I think Frankie, like, he has a very proficient knowledge of the matchup, of the Shoto matchup. He knows how to play it, he knows how to keep away from the corner, and that takes away the advantage of Denjin.
Mm-hmm.
So, so personally, I think it's gonna be 5-3, 5-3 Frankie
Mm-hmm.
to take it. But if it's a first to seven, uh, 7-4 Frankie.
Okay. Wow. So number one, nobody likes Denges except EXO. So that's not really a stretch or anything. Um, wow.
You really gotta think about this one.
I think it's gonna be 5-4 Frankie.
Interesting.
I think it's
S-
gonna be a much closer match than you think.
Hmm. You think it's
Um,
because of Denjin or it's because of how good Denjis has become or something?
well, I mean, I think it's a mistake to kind of separate the two.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, Denjin is cheap. Ooh, what I do? Yeah, Denjin is cheap, but you got to know how to use it, right? And obviously,
Hmm.
Denjis is very, very proficient with that super. He knows the setups, he knows the gimmicks, and so it's gonna all boil down to whether or not Frankie can avoid the situations that Denjis wants to put him in. One of the knocks with Denjis is that when you make him uncomfortable, when you control the space against him, he starts to press and he starts to make
True.
mistakes. But if and so and Frankie, like you said, is very good at the footsie game. He knows how to control the space. So I think the thing with Denges is the key for Denges first of all is can he adapt?
Yeah.
Because I
That's
feel
number
like
one.
because I don't know I don't know if Denges has ever shown us an ability to adapt very well in a long set. And so can he adapt if the setups and the gimmicks that he's trying to pull on Frankie aren't working? And the key for Frankie is can he avoid those situations? You know, and so and can Frankie not get frustrated? Because in a set, Denges is gonna get it. He's gonna land Denjin.
Yeah.
He is. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of time. But can Frankie maintain his composure and not get discouraged when that happens? Because
Can he be aware of the stun meter too? Because, you know, some people tend to forget about that, but
oh yeah,
you know,
when you play a Denjin Ryu, you have to. I mean, obviously, you always look at your own life meter, but I feel like you always have to be cognizant of your stun meter and Ryu's super meter.
mhm.
You have to always be looking at those two things at the same time because that's basically what's going to dictate the options that the Ryu has. You know, like how much meter does the Ryu have? How much stun are you? Because that's going to pretty much, that's going to pretty much help you determine, what type of setup, the Ryu player is going to use and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And so, can Frankie, um, what's the word? Can Frankie
I
uh,
guess. I mean,
multitask? Can Frankie multitask during the match? Can he stay aware of those things?
yeah. I
Especially in
mean,
the heat of the moment, when the match is going on, can he kind of like can he just take a glance at Denjis' meter and go, okay, this is how much super meter Denjis has, this is how much stun I have. Okay, so let's see what the options are.
one thing too, like when it comes to that situation where it's like, you look at the sun meter, a lot of people forget that, you know, the the super meter dictates the way the opponent is gonna play. So it dictates like what exactly they're gonna go for, what's their most likely plan that they're gonna go for.
Mhm.
So, for example, with somebody like Denji's, if he has Denjin right there, he'll do something like when you knock him down, he'll do something like a wake up Tatsu to
Mhm.
avoid grab pressure or to just simply get away from the situation. So if Frankie being so solid, I think he'll tend to be a little bit more defensive in that aspect, like not completely in your face type of way that we like.
Mhm.
But with the way he plays, I think he'll take advantage of that and recognize that okay, at this point he's gonna look for Denjin, he's gonna want it,
Mhm.
and that'll make it a lot easier for Frankie to to adapt to what's going on and just to uh simplify the whole game.
Mhm.
So I think everything comes into play in this match, and that's why it's actually one of those big matches that we're looking forward to. So
And I'm curious as to how Frankie is going to approach the corner game. Like when he pressures Denjis into the corner, I wonder how aggressive Frankie is going to be. Because, when you have a Denjin Ryu in the corner and, you put them in a defensive posture, what are they looking for?
yeah, exactly. I
Right?
mean it's like
What are they looking for to turn the tide? So, you know, I want to see how Frankie handles that situation. Is he going to be very aggressive when Denjis is in the corner, or is he going to just kind of, stay right outside his poke range, and just let Denjis, kind of hang himself, let himself hang out to dry. But
mhm,
and I really want to see a strong neutral game from Denjis. You know,
yeah.
I really want to see how Denjis, handles the game when the both of them are in the middle of the screen, because obviously he's very strong when he gets an opponent in the corner, primarily because he knows all the setups, because he knows all the gimmicks. But I want Denjis to show me something as far as the neutral game goes, because because he has very good defense, and when you attack Denjis, that's kind of, he's really good at turning your attacks into his opening.
Yeah.
And so I want to see, if Frankie doesn't give Denjis anything, what is Denjis going to do? I'm very curious to see what he's going to do. So I say 5-4, Frankie. Um, if
Okay.
it's first to seven, I think it's 7-6. I mean, I think it's going to be very close. I don't know. I really don't know. Obviously, we're
Okay.
a little biased. We want Frankie to win, but I
Yeah.
think I think we wouldn't be remiss if Denjis had a strong showing either.
Yeah.
And we all know there's one person that's going to cheer for Denjis, that's for sure. So, you
Yeah,
know,
whether he shows up or not. So,
all right.
but
S-
I think we should probably take a break right here to
Well, before we
adjust
take a break,
because I can see that we're actually running some trouble with the drop frames. So
oh, are we?
we
Oh,
should
okay.
probably yeah,
All right.
we should probably take a quick break.
Okay, sure.
We'll
We'll take
adjust
a
the
quick
stream
break.
really quick for you guys,
All right. And
and then we'll get back to you guys in a couple minutes. So
all right.
stick around, guys.
Sorry again for those technical difficulties. This is why you all need to buy a shirt, so you can help us upgrade our shit. So anyway, welcome back. You are watching House of Strikes. I am Mutant XP alongside Nica KO, and we were in the middle of discussing 3S Fight Club 6, which is set to go down this Saturday. And on the first segment of tonight's show, we gave our predictions for how we thought the exhibition matches would go down. And so our next question of the night is this: what do you think is going to be the best match at Fight Club 6? And so we'll go ahead and start with you, Lloyd.
Best match. I mean, it's kind of easy to call since we were talking about it. Obviously, the best match will be Gavin versus Spanajap, not Frankie versus Denges. Personally, I think that's gonna be the best one because you know, just because it's not a match that you get to see all the time, and you know, a lot of people are saying that's gonna be 5-4 or 5-3 or whatever. So personally, I think that's gonna be the best match because of, everybody wants to see a Chun lose. So, a lot more people will be hyped up about that. So, uh, yeah, I mean, Hispanic versus Gavin's gonna be the best one.
You think so, really?
Yep.
Hmm. I actually think Denges versus Frankie is going to be the best match.
I mean, because it probably will be, but I mean, we kind of see the New York players play all the time, so it's like,
You know,
we know what to expect.
it's funny that you mentioned that, Lloyd, because yes, we see the New York players play all the time, but we don't really see Frankie and Denges play against each other very
That's
much.
true.
I mean, we have to go way back to the CF days when, everyone was scrubby. And so, this is a matchup that we haven't really seen very much of on either the shelter or previous fight clubs or even previous tournaments.
Hmm.
And so, this is going to be, I think the main event. I think Frankie versus Denges is going to be the most exciting match. Partly because, neither of them have really crossed paths very much in the past.
True.
I also think that, the fact that they're both from the Bronx, they're both old school CF players. It's a Shoto match. It's the classic match. It's Ryu versus Ken.
It's a good story.
It is a good story. And I definitely think that, just the sheer level of skill involved in an entire match is going to make for a pretty captivating event. And I think it's a really good way to not just close out Fight Club 6, but to close out quite possibly the last Fight Club at next level.
That's true.
And so, and I also think, Denjin is pretty hype, as a super. Um, and, and Frankie has shown in the past that when he practices, when he prepares,
Yeah.
he brings it, and he's pretty good. And, same goes with Denjis too. And so, I think that's going to be the most competitive match. I think it's going to be the most hype match. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I could have called that match too, but I figured for the sake of picking another match other than the one that you wanted to pick, uh, Gavin versus Hispanic Jab will also be probably second best. Probably not the best one, but obviously most likely gonna be the second best. You know,
it
but
depends. It depends how good the execution of those two players are that day.
true, it depends on like what foot Gavin wakes up with. It depends on like if he's wearing his sunglasses or not, if there's a glare or anything.
Hmm.
It depends on a lot of stuff. With his Hispanic Jab, it depends on how good he feels too. Because it's like I guess the best way to say it is like they're both very streaky. Like
They are
they,
kind of streaky, right?
because like when they go on a tear, like they play pretty damn well. But then when they're in a slump, they're they're in a pretty big slump.
Hmm.
So it's hard for them to get out of. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much what makes it the most exciting one. It's like who can be more streaky in that match.
Hmm.
So I think it's one of those things that's gonna be it's a good prelim to the main event. So
Hmm.
aside from you versus Darren.
Well, that match might or might not happen. It all depends on if certain players show up to the event.
True, true.
So,
But
but
we will not discuss that.
if Darren does show up, our match will be the match of the night.
Okay, all right, the best match.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's going to be the most competitive match, but it will be the best match, one way or another. For those of you who watch wrestling, kind of like how Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at SummerSlam was the best match. So I think for those of you who know and watch wrestling, you guys understand the reference. I think the undercard is really solid too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like Bloodcell versus Little Kevin because that's one of the ones that's pretty exciting for me.
I'm just really excited about cheering on the Necro players at Fight Club 6.
Right?
I really am. I already told everyone I'm going to side bet every match that the Necro team plays.
That's gonna be a funny one. But it's like you most likely will win those anyway. So it's at least with the D-Tech one, it's hard to see that D-Tech will beat anti-Shoto. So
yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it is a first to 5, so yeah. I mean, who knows what'll happen.
And when it comes to, and of course, Rage versus Jerry, I think we're gonna begin the fight card with that match.
Rage versus Jerry, yeah, we have to.
I think that needs to start the match because
sure.
they have to set the tone. So if you're listening, Jerry, if you're listening, Rage, being the first match on a card bears great responsibility. The two of you set the tone. Okay, and so. When you're the first match on the card, you always want to try and steal the show. You know what I mean? So hopefully they take that into account and put on a strong showing. Both of them.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, I can't wait to see that. These fucking fight card matches.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
It's gonna be exciting.
So and also, I think we're kind of. I think the main event's going to be the most exciting. I think the second most exciting is going to be Rage versus Jerry, and then obviously Gavin versus Hispanic Jap.
I'm pretty sure you say Rage versus Jerry for obvious reasons because you just want to cheer against Rage. But it's okay. I respect the decision.
Look, man, I told everyone I would 5-0 him.
Okay.
Didn't I tell you I would 5-0 him?
Yeah, after you were done practicing with me.
and he didn't even win a round.
Well, that's what happens when you practice.
So, what are you going to do?
So, we may advocate practice up for you guys, but it does work.
Yeah, it does. Especially for old people like me.
Mm-hmm. That shit works.
You can't just go in there cold turkey. It's not. It doesn't work that way.
Because then you get 5-0'd.
Yeah, then you get 5-0'd. All right, guys. So, like I said before, for those of you who are just coming onto the stream, remember that Fight Club 6 is set to go down this Saturday at Next Level. The stream should begin around 1 p.m. Remember that this is quite possibly the last Fight Club at Next Level before Henry moves the venue to somewhere else. And so I encourage everyone to come out to this event. Not just the current Third Strike players, not just new bloods, but also all the old school 3S players that made the scene so awesome back in the day. Mm-hmm. I want everyone to come out to this, even if you don't plan on competing. Once you're there, we're probably going to get you to compete,
right?
Because we're pretty persuasive like that. Remember, guys, just a brief rundown of what we'll be doing that Saturday. Oh, before we talk about Fight Club 6, remember tomorrow we're going to stream as well. We're going to have a special edition of The Shelter.
Pre-Fight Club session?
To give players an opportunity to kind of shake off the rust and work on their execution and work on their stuff.
Practice
up. So that stream should start around 6 tomorrow. And so look out for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Fight Club 6. The stream will begin at 1. We're going to start with a New Blood Battle Royal. And remember that for the New Blood Battle Royal, beginning players will play a gauntlet-style match where the playing order will be drawn at random. 2 players will start, winner stays, and the last man standing wins the entire pot. And so I would like to add a pot bonus, but I haven't decided how much yet. And so that is to be determined. I will probably announce that tomorrow on the Shelter. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we have the same character 3v3 tournament. We already have 4 to 5 solid teams. I believe we have a necro team, we have a chun team, and we have a urien team. And then last but not least, we obviously have the exhibition matches. And again, as I said before, we have the Rage taking on Jerry Rice in a Ken mirror. The last Ken mirror that Rage played, well, aside from the mirror that he lost to me, he played Holdat.
Blah blah blah.
Rage beat Holdat, which pretty much ended Holdat's Ken career. Then we have little Kevin taking on Blood Cell. Like you said, Lloyd, this is a very intriguing match because Blood Cell is extremely unpredictable. But I have heard through the grapevine that Blood Cell has been practicing those confirms.
Yep, he has. I've seen it firsthand.
So if he can combine that unpredictability with technique, he will be a very dangerous player for years to come.
For sure.
The next match that we will have is Anti-Shoto, the best necro in America, or in New York. We don't know if he's the best necro in America yet. There's that necro player in Texas that competed in Co-op Cup.
Anyways,
what was his name?
We'll move on.
Anyway, he's taking on D-Tech. And so, that looks to be a good match. Then, of course, we have Gavin taking that Chun, fresh from Co-op Cup, from that strong showing, representing the Gaijin, taking on Hispanic Jap. And,
representing Louisiana.
Yes, and despite all of the highlights, notice that we have highlights of him using Dudley, and then we have an image of Urien. He is playing Makoto in the money match. And then last but not least,
oh my God.
I can't think of a better way to round out the last Fight Club at Next Level than to have these two iconic New York players battling it out for Shoto supremacy. Shoto supremacy.
This is literally Rumble in the Bronx.
Rumble in the Bronx, yes.
Forget the movie. This is the real Rumble.
This is the Rumble in the Bronx. So again, hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow and Saturday to the channel. We're gonna have a lot of Third Strike action this weekend for those of you who are tired of, seeing
Street Fighter 5
and whatnot.
Already.
Take a break and watch some Third Strike. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. But when we come back,
we have a very special guest.
None other than the Warden of the North, the Lone Wolf
from Winterfell, straight from Winterfell,
Lance from Alaska. And so we're going to get his thoughts on his recent participation in Cooperation Cup, the challenges of trying to start the scene in a desolate place like Alaska, and other questions. And so if you guys have any questions for Lance, please post them on the chat, email us at houseofstrikes@gmail.com, and we'll be back in about a couple of minutes. So stay tuned, guys. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the stream. So Mutant XP had to step out, and filling in for him is Foxy XP.
Oh my God.
And the reason I'm in attendance tonight is because we have a very special guest. We have a very strong American Third Strike player, relatively new to the scene. He just came off a very impressive performance at Cooperation Cup, where he made it all the way to the playoffs. And so, of course, I am talking about none other than Lance from Alaska.
Warden of the North.
Warden of the North. And so, let's see if I can go ahead and fix this. Mutant is such a scrub. He didn't leave. He didn't.
He was so excited to become a direwolf. The sigil for Lance that he forgot to adjust the camera, so
the camera. So
it's pretty okay. But anyway,
but we can hear you now, Lance. How's it going, Lance?
Yeah, feel good, man.
All right. So I'll go ahead and let Lloyd take the lead on this interview.
So Lance, obviously you came back from Cooperation Cup. We're gonna jump right into it.
All right.
First off, obviously just a little backstory for everybody that Lance is from Alaska. Obviously, if you know where Alaska is, you must know how difficult it is to get a scene going out there, to actually get any type of competition out there. So just to give the players like a little backstory about you. How exactly did you get into Third Strike specifically?
Okay. I've told this story a couple of times before. But I'll tell it.
Tell it again.
All right.
Again.
So I had just let's see. This is like 3 years into college, and I had a quarter life crisis. So I dropped out of college, and I had no job, and had like $2 to my name. So went to the gas station. I bought $1 soda, and we're like, all right, we have $1 left. And so there's like a video rental store down the street, and we're like, all right, we're gonna spend this dollar. We're gonna rent a game for the PS2. And so we went there. We had like no idea what we were gonna rent, and we saw a Street Fighter Anniversary Collection on the shelf. And we're like, oh shit, we used to play Street Fighter 2 all the time. That game's sick. And so we rented it for Street Fighter 2. Like we had no idea like what is Street Fighter 3. So took it home. We played Street Fighter 2 a little bit, but then we like decided to give Street Fighter 3 a try, and it was like it's like magic, you know.
Yeah.
Like suddenly I found like the way like everything about Third Strike is so good, even when you first touch it. Like the way the movement works and the way the animation looks, like everything just feels like this is really fun to play, right? And so we rented and we played that for like 3 days straight. And, you know, at this point we're like complete garbage. Like the story of how I picked Chun, for instance, because I had no idea about the tier list or the daigo parry or any of that shit.
Well, how long ago was this? Like, what year was this?
Oh, this is like mid 2011. So this is like right before
Wow.
Online Edition came out.
That's
Yeah.
like 5 years ago. That's, I mean, Jesus, that's in Third Strike terms, that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I picked Chun-Li because, you know, like in the corner, she can do the stomp on someone's head like over and over if they block. Just keep
Oh
stomping.
my god.
And I was like, that's fucking sick. Like, this is the best shit ever. So yeah, I think the reason I'm a Chun-Li player now is because you can do that. And I thought it
Oh
was like
my
unbeatable.
god.
That is sick.
That is
Yeah.
pretty sick.
And,
Find one of the cheapest things to do and then just fuck it. I want this character now.
yeah, and so like later on I found out that she's like the best character in the game, and like it has nothing to do with her head stumps. But, yeah, and so then like right after that, a couple months later, Online Edition came out. I was like, oh, that's sick. You can play it online. And at this point, like I have no idea that there's like a long history of Third Strike, or that there's so many great players who are known for it. So I see 5-Star makes a thread on SRK, and he says something like, Derek Neal is a faggot. This game is garbage. And I was like, who the fuck is this idiot? I'm going to register on SRK and tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about. So yeah, like I register on SRK and I write like, I think Online Edition's great. It's Third Strike. We should all be happy. Like everyone ignored me, which they should have because I didn't have any fucking idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I got started. And so I started playing online from there. I met all the SRK people. So I met like Ryan, Yuki, No More Funland, Rowan, like all those SRK guys. And I got into I just like play with all of them. So I'd play with Rowan a lot. I'd play with Chai T. And, just like I got raped for like the first 2 years. Like everyone just beat me over and over. But yeah, I kept playing. And so yeah, like the first 3 years of my career was just Xbox Live. And like from Alaska to the lower 48, Xbox Live is not like the best thing. You know, I think it's pretty laggy. But yeah, and then I have a friend here also named David, and we've been playing on.
Hold on. Just sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, I
Like-
think your internet's getting a
I
little
know.
wonky, Lance.
Hmm.
But that's okay.
everybody's saying that you sound like a robot.
That's funny.
But give it a second, it'll probably come back.
Yeah, just give it a second and maybe your internet will clear up. So once again, guys, for those of you who just tuned in, this is House of Strikes, and we are joined here with our special guest, Lance from Alaska, sharing his experiences with Third Strike. And so we're currently waiting for Lance's internet to clear up. Can you hear us still, Lance?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Okay. Well, remember, guys, Lance is from Alaska, and so that's pretty fucking far away.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of internet they have in Alaska. So continue with your story, Lance.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I just run it to a close. Like, so that's pretty much how I started. I played with my friend David, and I played on Xbox Live for like the first few years. And then my first like entry into the larger scene was I went to Hooters, which Ryan would do every year, and I played Ryan for the first time, and I played some NorCal guys, and then that's how it's been from there. Like I've gone to Hooters twice, and I went to Summer Jam, and then finally to Coop this last year.
So it was pretty recent that you started entering actual tournaments and stuff like that then.
Yeah, so the first 3 years that I played, there were like no tournaments because like Alaska, no one really plays third strike except for a few people.
Mm-hmm. So Lance, I couldn't help but notice in the background you have a Japanese arcade cabinet. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right. So if any of you have ever posted on SRK third strike section, you know, like they're very very particular about the setups. And so like I read people like Ryan just say like basically online is trash. It's not real third strike, right? Or even console is not the same, or even Super Gun, it's not quite the same. So like I basically, because at this point I've been playing for a couple of years, and I was like super into the game. Like from the moment I played Third Strike, I stopped playing other video games. Like I don't think I've played much besides Third Strike since then.
Yeah,
so, like,
seriously.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm gonna go all out. Like I'm gonna get a cab, and I'm just gonna do it like the legit way.
Okay. And so how can you tell us a little bit about the story of how you got the cab? Just so so the people can realize just how difficult it is to get something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
seriously.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a journey because like originally I went on eBay and I saw a Versus cab on there, so I bid on it and I won the bid, and then like the guy's kind of an asshole. Like I sent the money through PayPal, and there's like some mix up between PayPal and eBay where it's going to be a few days before he got the money, and like he messages me like day 2.5, and he's like, "This is taking too long. You're costing me money." So he like cancels the whole order.
Oh,
what
my
a-
God, what a dick.
Mm.
So then I posted on SRK, and I basically like I read it now, and I'm like, I'm so stupid, but I wrote like, I'm looking for a Versus cab, and it doesn't matter how much money. Like, you just name your price.
Money is no object. Money is no concern to me. Only the cab.
Yeah, so I ended up buying one from I think a guy from Indiana, and he was a Super Turbo player who was trying to get rid of stuff, and he would only sell to me if I bought the Super Turbo PCB also.
Oh, okay.
So it's like $1,800 for the cab and Super Turbo, and it's like $1,000 to ship it to Alaska.
Damn.
Yeah, and he was like, because it's so much money, he didn't want to go through PayPal because they take like your own cut, right? So he only would sell it to me if I went through money order, which seems like to me hella shady. You know, like I'm gonna.
Well, definitely.
That is really shady. That's a lot of money for money order.
Yeah. So, but I just did it. I was like, I emailed back and forth a few times. I was like, okay, I've seen that he's made a lot of sales in the past on this. Okay, I'll just trust him. So I just like sent $1,800 in the mail. And then the cab came like 2 weeks later.
Wow.
How long did it take for the cab to get there?
It was maybe a couple weeks. Yeah, they like shipped it up on a boat.
And what kind of condition was the cab in when it got there?
Oh, it's very good actually. Yeah, like actually, I feel like my cab's in better condition than like any of the cabs I played on in Tokyo for sure.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because they get so much use over there.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
what
and so-
about
oh, go ahead.
the Third Strike board? Did that come with it, or was that something you had to buy separately?
Oh yeah, I had to buy that separate. We learned pretty early about the whole the battery issue, right? So we straight up we figured out that you can buy 2 second impact boards, and you can take the piece of the
Sims.
the Sims, right? And from one of the boards and put them in, and then you can basically make a Third Strike board out of that, and then you completely avoid the battery issue. So we did that. So we actually have 3 boards total.
Nice.
And you adjusted the cartridge too to make it 6-in-1, or was it just?
We just did like the straight up second impact to like this was one of the first mods he came up with, so it was before the 6-in-1. So yeah, it just plays Third Strike, but there's no battery issue because of that, so I'll never have to worry about that.
Yeah, because for those of you who don't know it, I mean, there's a modder named Mitsurugi W who makes mods like this where he takes a second impact cartridge and he modifies it so that it has all 6 CPS3 games in one cartridge.
JoJo.
And basically, if you
Red Earth.
Now, basically, it works with any of the other
New generation.
It works with any of the other CPS3 boards, but it won't read any other Third Strike game unless you have the proper sims for it. It won't read any of the CPS3 game unless you have the right sims for it. So, as long as you have like a Third Strike board, basically like all the sims, everything will work. So basically, Third Strike is like the pinnacle of CPS3, and that's what you need to run all 6 in one. But it is difficult as shit to find a CPS3 board.
Mm.
Because obviously, for those of you who don't know, they stopped production of the CPS3 boards.
Yep.
And I don't even think they repair them anymore, do they?
Yeah, yeah, I think they don't. I think Japan finally stopped like a
Yeah.
year or
Wow.
two ago. So like no one does it.
There was like one person I think in Japan who used to repair it, but then now like there's one person in Korea who does it now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So that just means it's a lot like 10 times more difficult to do it. So, for all you out there who thinks it's just easy to get a CPS3 board, you try it and you let us know how well it works because it is shit hard to do.
Yeah, I mean the misconception is that it's a lot harder to get a Versacity cab or another type of Japanese candy cab.
Nope.
And I mean, it is difficult when you have to factor in shipping and everything, but the boards themselves, I mean, they're just so scarce now.
Yeah, it's like trying to find it's trying to find like a legendary Pokemon like without using the Repple,
Wow.
So it's like, I mean, if you guys play Pokemon, you know how difficult that shit is, but you know, it's one of those things that like, you must have gotten really lucky to have that in Alaska, and you know, people just probably don't understand that.
Hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
So, Lance, you had mentioned Tokyo, and so we wanted to go ahead and turn the discussion to your recent trip to Japan. And so, obviously, you competed in Cooperation Cup 14, and if you recall a couple episodes ago, we had Carson on the stream. And
Mm-hmm.
so, can you tell us a little bit about your first impressions of Third Strike in Japan?
Oh
Uh,
yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. It's basically
mhm.
like what you would expect. Like you're gonna go and there's
Uh-huh.
like five Third Strike arcades maybe, or maybe more. I don't know. I only went to like five. And then each one you go to, it's gonna have like 25 cabs, and it's just Third Strike. Which is yeah, it's really.
Wow.
One thing that I was very different for me, and this was we talked about it a little bit before with Summer Jam. It's the same way, is that it's really really loud in arcades.
oh yeah,
So if you are used to playing like in your room online or in your room with your friend, like it's a completely different experience playing in like an arcade. Uh, you're not gonna like if you ever listen to anyone's buttons, of course, that's off the table, right?
well, I mean, who does that?
No, no one does. Or but if you're like used to hit confirming off of sound only, then it's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah. So when you first went to Japan, I mean, obviously you were pretty familiar with Daishak at this point. Did you have any like expectations about it? Like, did you know about the Japanese players, like who you were gonna play? Like, did you
Mm-hmm.
study them or something? Like, how did you, what did you do to prepare for Co-op Cup? Well, first, what did you do to prepare for Japan first, and then Co-op Cup after?
I didn't really do anything to prepare for Japan. It's kind of like went in raw. Uh, I was kind of well, I knew I would be there for 21 days, so I figured going in like I'm gonna get destroyed like every arcade I go to every night, and hopefully I learn something out of it. And that's basically what happened. Like I had like my victories here and there, but yeah, mostly I just went to Japan arcades and I'd play like the gods of Third Strike and I get raped, or I'd play like some random guy, like some random Tokyo guy that you never heard of in America, but compared to us, like he's still really sick.
Mm. But even so, at this point, you knew about the high level players. Like, you knew what to expect from them. Then you were
Right,
you
right,
were
right.
just you
I
were just
didn't
telling yourself,
I
like,
didn't understand like some characters. I didn't understand like how bullshit they can be.
mm,
Like I told a few people, but I played Mester, and then I played Yakun. So I played Mester first to 10, and then I played Yakun just a bunch of games after. And I think I lost to Mester 10-1, and then I lost to Yakun like 20-0.
And
yeah,
So
for those of
versus
you
like,
who aren't, and sorry not to interrupt you,
oh yeah,
Lance,
go
but for those of you who are unfamiliar with these players, they're both Yun players.
right.
Two arguably the strongest Yun, one of the two of the strongest Yun players in Japan.
Lance has something to attest with one of those choice of words. Uh, he'll probably explain it to us, but yeah. So obviously the young players.
And what did you learn from playing Yakun and Mester, Lance?
Oh, I basically just learned like I really have no idea how to fight Yoon. Like I would play in America, and I'd be
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I can beat Yoon. Like here's this list of American Yoons I've played, and I played them on Xbox Live. I do pretty well versus them. I walked I. If you asked me 6 months ago and said, "What are your strongest matches?" I would have been like, "Oh yeah, Yoon and Ken and Makoto,
Mhm.
absolutely. Give me any Yoon, I'll destroy them." But now I have like no confusion about that. Like I have no idea how to fight Yoon.
Hmm.
What is it? Can you point to some things specifically that
Mm.
that kind of gave you difficulty in those matchups in Japan?
Was it like the dive kick pressure? Was it,
Mm.
obviously Ganation's always going to be a problem, but was it the way the characters move, like in terms of like how they press the normals?
Right.
Yeah, what did you
I
find
feel
so
like
difficult?
they would react to anything I did. So
Mm.
like if I like Yakun would stand right outside my stand fierce range, and if I ever whiff stand fierce, he immediately dash punch. Like it was like instant reaction. It's like I couldn't whiff it.
Wow.
Like pretty much all I was allowed to whiff was low forward. And, like the more you whiff low forward, the more you allow them to jump in at you. And
Exactly.
so yeah, so I'm never gonna like be able to keep a really high level unit out for very long. And so I have to attack him. But every time I like if I whiff the stand fierce, he's gonna dash punch it. If I put it right on him, he might like parry it and then do like low forward dash punch. So it's like very hard to attack them and very hard to keep them out. So just every round, just like getting destroyed.
So that basically changed your perception of the Yun matchup at that point then.
Right? Yeah. I was like, I really have no idea.
Hmm. That's funny. It's because one of those things that people in America like, they have that misconception too, like, where they say like, oh, I played this Dudley player like every single day. Like I know exactly how to play Dudley.
Hmm.
You don't know how to play Dudley until, you play against the higher level players. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's good to show that, it's not all hunky dory when you play here.
Hmm.
There's always plenty of competition out there. So,
So Lance, there are a lot of Third Strike players that are considering traveling to Japan. Because they crave a kind of experience that's similar to what you had. How friendly were the Japanese players to you?
Hmm. Uh, everyone was friendly. As far as
Hmm.
playing Ghost, it was kind of a mixed boat. Most people I played, they were totally cool, and they were like, they'll play me like game after game. Like a Memora was like that. I played him a bunch of games. I didn't win a single one, and I can't imagine it was like that difficult for him. But he kept playing me, and that was really cool. There were some players who would like I'd play them, and they'd win a few, and I'd win one, and they were just gone. Like they didn't want to keep playing.
mm,
And I asked some people about that, and they said it's probably like a lot of Japanese players don't like to play versus foreigners because our style is to guess. Like we guess parry too much, or we don't play the matchup exactly right. And also, of course, that they don't really want to play versus a Chun who guesses. Like it's just not
yeah.
that fun.
So that's unfortunate news for Ahmed in case he goes over there, because
Hmm.
I mean, Ahmed plays the same way, and it does get a little, you know, whatever when you play against Chuns that guess, but it does do damage. I mean, it's part of the game.
Right.
I mean, as much as they hate to play it, and it does make a difference when a Chun does go for significant shit like that. So,
Hmm.
but
So Lance, there's so much talk about the differences between Japanese players and American players, but were you able to detect any similarities?
Hmm. Uh, I mean, certainly, like when I play versus the really top Japan players, like the people we've all heard of, who are like the gods of their characters, it was like I'm playing. It's like I'd never played the character before playing versus them.
Or
But
you
versus
play a
like
different
the
game, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like they have those matches up down to a science where
Hmm.
like they know everything I can do at every space, and they're going to pick the right option to beat it. So playing versus them, it was like completely different experience. Maybe it's similar to playing like the very top few Americans, like Lloyd or Ryan or Yuki. Like it's kind of similar to that. Um, Playing versus like the average guy in Tokyo, it's not so bad. Like there's definitely some similarities there. You can you definitely you're much more likely to take games off them.
hmm.
Hmm.
So I mean, and I guess what's one thing that you see the the average players, like focus on compared to the American players? Like,
Hmm.
are they more solid? Are they more execution heavy? Like, do they not fuck up? You know,
Uh,
Like the New
I'd say
Bloods, like the Japanese New Bloods. I mean, what's the
all right.
difference between
because
Japanese New Bloods and American New Bloods?
I remember I was watching the Game Newton stream, and they had a beginners tournament, and
Mhm.
beginners were doing complex things. Like they were like
Right.
going for, it was complex, but it was like logical. Like it was like
Hmm.
simple stuff, but it was like logical stuff. Like, okay, like in one situation they're gonna go for a red parry or something like that, or one situation they're gonna try to go for a max damage combo. Like these are
Yeah.
things that the newer players here, like they don't do that. They don't do that. You know,
Yeah.
even the average level players don't do that.
Mm.
So it's one of those things that we just have to make sure, like, okay, like what do they focus on compared to Americans?
Yeah, I think like their execution generally much more likely to be on point. Like you say, like I played on Xbox Live for like 4 years now, or 5 years, or however long I've been playing, and so I played like a lot of American low level or like mid level players. And I say compared to those Americans, like the Japanese, their execution will always be mostly on point, and also they're much more likely to play defensive. Like the Japanese, or say the American average guy or the American scrub, like he just wants to hit you. He just wants to get a fucking parry and then like go
He
beat your ass.
just wants to press buttons, yeah.
Yeah, like, he just wants to hit you. And the Japan low level players or mid level players, like the complete opposite. Like I would sit there versus like a Dudley who's like not really strong, just is like okay. And he'd take like 9 or 10 Kara throws from Chun Li. He was like sit there and down back in the corner and just take the Kara throw over and over. I was like, that would never happen in America. Like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
eating a uppercut at some point.
It's funny because Mutant actually he had that type of thinking too when because he plays Necro and it's like, you know, obviously I'm just gonna take the grab all day. I mean, right? I mean that's what you say, right? Right,
Mhm.
Mutant?
Yeah. Well, we have to ask Mutant when he comes back.
Or Foxy XP. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Mutant, right? So,
Yeah, he's
we'll,
a
we'll,
scrub, you know.
okay.
But anyway. But
But
but but yeah, I think I think I get the point you're trying to make, Lloyd. Is that Japanese players, it seems though, according to your observations, Lance, are safer.
Mhm.
They're more focused on playing third strike a very specific way, a safe way. I think
Right.
RKF talked about it on the last stream. Whereas American players are much more aggressive. They're they gamble more, I guess.
Yeah, that's a big one. American players definitely gamble more. Like you could be in a situation and like an American player is 1,000 times more likely to be like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And if it works, I win. And if it doesn't, then I lose the match.
Hmm.
what's also another thing too is that there are different styles too. Because
Hmm.
RKF said once that in Tokyo area they play really safe,
Right.
very very solid. Whereas in another area, they play like, in like the western area of Japan, I think they play very aggressive. Like the
Mm.
Deshikan area,
Oh, right.
The
Yeah.
Kyushu area, like they play really aggressive. So I mean, it's not always that every Japanese player plays like that,
Right.
probably, but it's probably just the type of style that they have.
Right.
But
I think that was true. You could notice that also, even in Tokyo, like the Ryu players are much more willing to take risks. I noticed, like the big two are Kuni and Vanel.
mm,
Like when I play versus those two guys, it's like they're constantly guessing, but at least they can, like they can justify the guesses. Like
yeah,
if I guess here and then I hit this combo, then I have Denshin, then I activate it, and you're probably dead. So
They're
like
not
it's not
just
the same
guessing
kind
for
of
the sake.
guessing,
They're not just guessing for the sake of guessing.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just doing it because they want to get the damage on you. They're doing it because, it's based off of what they experience with the matchup. Um, so the Japanese, you know, with the Japanese gameplay out of the way, we'll bring it back to America. So when you came back to America, I mean, what was the feeling that you had coming back from Co-op Cup? Was it like, damn, I wish I could go back? Was it like,
Yeah.
damn, I learned a lot, so I can't wait to go to the next tournament? What, like,
Did you
what
feel
is?
Did you feel discouraged? Like you came back and went, man, I know nothing about third strike.
yeah.
I mean, what were your feelings when you came back, aside from being jet lagged?
It's a little bit of all of that. It's like well, like I think you can adjust to play versus the Japanese, right? Like by the end of my Japan trip, I could like hold my own much better versus certain players.
Mm,
Like for an example of that is the first few times I played uh Zabi Goki.
mm,
I played him once on stream in one of the tournaments, and I just like got butt raped. Like I don't think I didn't get double perfected, but it was pretty close. Um, and then like I want to say like 2 weeks later, I played him again, just casuals in the arcade, and we were going like 50-50. So I definitely noticed like improvement in my playing versus Japan style. But then I came back and played my friend back in Alaska, and it's like nothing had changed. So I felt like I learned more about the game and I learned how to play versus the Japanese style more, but it didn't always necessarily apply versus the American style.
mm.
Okay.
That's so you didn't have like one of those I guess eye-opening moments like when you play like for example, like for when I first played Japanese players, like a lot of people like they just take what they learn and that's it.
Mm,
Whereas if you really observe your own game, if you take a Japanese style player and then apply it to like the American style, you see more of the mistakes.
right.
So
Uh,
when you played your friend, did you see those mistakes and did you say like, okay, like this can be punished, so I'm gonna start punishing this right here? Or did you
yeah.
just say, oh fuck this guy, like he's still
Uh,
American, like let me just whatever, you know?
I
yeah.
mean,
I
did your
definitely
did your
had a
approach to the game change? I guess
right.
is what Lloyd's asking.
Yeah, and I think that it definitely did. And the way I think about it is a little different now. Because like I felt like what the Japanese players are really good at doing, what I need to get better at doing, is just playing like maximally cheap. Like
Yeah.
if I ever attack and I get parried and then I lose like a huge chunk of life for it, like I never really should have attacked there. And I have to think about the game in terms of like every decision is like that. Every decision is you want to play from maximum cheapness where they really couldn't have done anything. And you have to think from that mindset that they'll be playing like that too. Like I was playing Roshi Akari, and it wasn't obvious to me at all until like Ryan explained it to me. And he was like, whenever you're playing versus a high level Yang, always just attack on his wake up, like do a delayed attack, but like never go for the throw because like if you don't have super, he's never ever going to take the throw, right? And so
What?
like I never occurred to me, like to think like that. But he was like, if you don't have super, why would he take it? Why wouldn't he just jump? Why wouldn't he parry? Why wouldn't he just guess a button? Like the reward's always going to be better for him than you like hitting him with something like getting one throw.
He meant when you have no meter just to.
Oh right, yeah, sorry. When I have no meter, I got a knockdown. I'm walking up. He said, "Like you probably don't want to go for the throw because he's just going to jump out or he's just going to do something."
Mm, it's that. I mean, I guess that works because it is different styles. It is different type of mindsets. Because Japanese players they tend to know more about the guard jump technique
Mm,
than American players. So it's not something that you'll see often. But it's like for example, taking that to here, it's like if you try to transfer like okay, like pressing a button like over there compared to over here, it's like
mhm.
it doesn't really work all the same. They'll guess parry, they'll do something else, they'll do a shoryu on wake up, whereas if you go for a grab, it's like one of the safest things you can do, you know?
Right.
So it's like the two difference in styles probably makes it much more difficult to adjust to them to just improving in general,
Hmm.
if you think about it. So that's pretty good way to look at it.
Well, let's
Um,
let's talk a little bit about your experience at Co-op Cup, Lance. Obviously, Cooperation Cup is the biggest Third Strike tournament of the year, and you know, we're it's probably going to come back next year.
mhm.
And so, how would you describe your experience at Cooperation Cup? Because as you explained, you're not a seasoned tournament veteran by any
Hmm.
stretch of the imagination. You're fairly new to the scene. And so, it's funny because you were listing all the tournaments you go to. I mean, you go to Evo, but then of course you started playing Third Strike after, Third Strike was left off as a main game and it became
Right.
sort of a side event. And then you went to Summer Jam, and then Cooperation Cup.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about your experiences at Cooperation Cup. How was it like?
Oh yeah, it was really fun. The atmosphere is really cool, even if you don't speak Japanese. Like just being there, it's like an electric energy in the air.
Mm.
Um, I found that like I'd play casuals, or we played versus a couple of teams,
Mm-hmm.
like my team, the Milky Boys, in Cooperation Cup.
Milky
And I mean, I think
Boys.
the Milky Boys, all white guys. But, yeah. And I found, like, there's plenty of people in Tokyo. Like, sometimes when you explain it, or people explain it, they make it sound like, oh, everyone in Tokyo is just really fucking good, and they'd all just rape us. But it's not really like that, because we played two teams, and we absolutely could have beat both. We only beat one of them. Kind of blew it. But, and then I played, like, in casuals versus them. And so versus a lot of the mid-range and lower Tokyo players, like, we could absolutely, win
Put
our
up a
fair
fight.
share.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you'd play like a really strong player, and then you were like just completely aware of like how much of a gap there could be. So like when the Milky Boys played, we played two teams, and we looked at the list of names, and one of our guys spoke Japanese, so he read off the names, and we're like, oh, we never heard of any of these people. Yeah, all right, so that's awesome. And so those actually went pretty well. Like we were one person away from winning both
The
of those
block.
matches. Yeah, we it came down to us versus their anchor ibuki, and then their ibuki just like beat our last 3 guys.
Damn.
Yeah. But then in pre-coup, we played Matsuken's team, so it's like Matsuken, Deshiken, Chie, Boss, and someone else.
Shie, Matsuken, Boss, Deshiken, and
Oh, whatever.
yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, well,
anyways,
5 really
anyways,
Ken players.
yeah,
Yeah, and so that was a completely different experience because like you kind of know like
here right. There we go.
yeah, you're not gonna win.
Thanks, Carson.
How was the equipment there? Like, were you? Because obviously you have a versus cab to practice on, and you already talked a little bit about how you felt that your cabinet was in better condition than anything that you tried in Japan. And so, was there sort of, did you have to get adjusted to the sticks or the equipment, or what was your experience like with that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think the general standard there is Saimitsu, though sometimes it's Sanwa sticks. But you figure like if you're an arcade owner, you don't replace the sticks all the time, and we definitely do. So like I'm only used to playing on like new sticks that have only been used for a couple months by like 2 people. So yeah, it's definitely not like the standard at all in any other part of the world. Like you're just not going to have that. So every stick you have to. So it's like really tough, especially in Cooperation Cup, where you sit down and that's like your first experience with that cab. So you have like the character select screen to kind of like feel how the stick moves. Yeah, so it definitely took some adjustment. I know a couple of people on my team were having trouble with the sticks. Like I think Carson told the story already about like how Gavin's playing Sugiyama, and he's about to win. Sugiyama does low forward, and Gavin does like reversal super. Or no, doesn't do low forward. He does the scoop move.
Snake Fang.
Snake Fang, yeah.
Yeah, and then Gavin inputs reversal super, just nothing comes out, and he loses the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of had a theory that he probably did it too fast or something like that
Oh yeah, could be.
because he was reacting too fast. But I mean, things like that happen. So I guess going from Summer Jam to Co-op Cup, I mean, how the difference in quality in terms of the equipment. What was it like? Was it much more comfortable at Summer Jam compared to Co-op Cup, or was it like the same? Or
I think it's about the same. I think it's just like an arcade setup with sticks that have been used for a while by a lot of people. Yeah, it was roughly the same.
okay. And in terms of the hype, like when you're into the match, like the hype comparison, because when we were over here in Summer Jam, like we were getting hype over little things. Like you get one low forward and we go crazy.
Alaska.
Exactly. Like you don't hear that over there in Japan. It's like everybody's like, hey. But
Yeah, like how does the hype compare between here and Japan?
My situation was a little unique because I teamed with Farai, and Farai's just behind you at all times, just screaming every time you hit him. It's like, yeah. If you ever, I uploaded one of the Milky Boy sets in our block, and you can hear Farai in the background the entire time, just be like screaming every time we hit him. So yeah, I definitely got the feeling that some teams are more vocal than others. It wasn't. I mean, Americans, especially East Coast players, are much more active, right? Like they're gonna like scream some profane shit in your ear.
that's right.
Right. So yeah, definitely. I mean, the volume.
Free!
Way. Exactly. Yeah, that's just something you have to adjust to for sure, and it's definitely more prevalent in America, I think.
So when you went into Co-op Cup, were you nervous in any type of way, or was it like, okay, I feel pretty comfortable. It's just a matter of getting used to the sticks, kind of thing?
Yeah, I felt mostly all right. I think I've like mostly gotten over like tournament jitters. I don't really get nervous.
Good.
Still have a little trouble adjusting to like not hearing the sound or not being completely comfortable with the stick. So I feel like that's just like an experience thing. Like you just keep playing in those environments. Because I think everyone like we talked about right after Summer Jam about how I wasn't comfortable at all. I played like really shitty in certain parts of it. Yeah, and when I played in Japan, like slowly over time, like I saw that going away. Like I didn't really miss as much stuff. So it just needs like a lot of experience in loud environments like that.
Nice.
And so, Lance, before we take a break, just one more question. Were there, when you during your 2 week or 2.5 week stay in Japan, were you able to gauge at all the interest in Japanese third strike players perhaps making a visit to America, similar to the way that RKF and Vinal came for Fight Club 3? I mean, what is the Japanese sense of American third strike? Do they even know about us? Are they even interested in coming over here? I mean, what's going on with that?
All right. So the general impression I got is that none of them really pay attention to any of us. We don't really know who we are.
Okay.
But several of them seem pretty excited to have met us. Like I got pretty drunk with Memora, Tomonaga, and KO. And Memora and Tomonaga definitely expressed interest. Like they want to come to America. Like give them a place to stay. Maybe you have to like cover part of their ticket, but they'd love to come visit. So I think there's an opportunity there. Like we're, as a community, American community, we're starting to build events. Because like when I started 4 years ago, there was like nothing, right? Like Third Strike had died, and no one's really doing anything yet. And so there's like this completely vacant period of American Third Strike. But now it's coming back up, and everyone's working towards something. So I think now is an opportunity to make those contacts, right? Like start making friends in Japan, start bringing them over.
And with that said, Lance, I mean, is there anything that you're trying to do? I mean, obviously, Rome wasn't built in one day, and it wasn't built by one person. But is there anything specific that you're planning to do to kind of grow your own scene, like in terms of where you live and Anchorage and like what is the FGC like in Anchorage anyway, like as a whole? Not just Third Strike, but
and is it really just one person that you play with, or is it a bunch of other people?
So Alaska fighting game community is like there's like a fair amount of people, but it's pretty much all like Street Fighter 4 and Tekken.
Okay.
And I've made like I've had conversations with them about Third Strike, and there's a few people who used to play Third Strike pretty heavy back in the day, and so I was playing with them for a while. So at one point, our scene was as big as like 6 people who would come over for casuals like once every 2 weeks.
For just Third Strike.
Just for Third Strike, right?
Okay.
And then those 4 kind of like faded away over time. So now it's just back to me and my friend. And my impression of their attitude towards us is there's like a fair amount of people who are, interested in me as a player. Like they'll hear like, oh, Lance went to Summer Jam and got ninth, or Lance went to Cooperation Cup and beat X player. He must be pretty good. So, but as far as their attitude towards the game, like they have like no interest. Like there was a Third Strike tournament advertised maybe a year ago by like some card shop owner, and he posted it on the Alaska fighting game community. Like the response was like an overwhelming like, why would you run Third Strike? It's a dead game. Like,
oh my god.
Do Street Fighter 4, people actually come. Do Super Smash Brothers, people actually come. And it's like, man, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, my relationship with the Alaska fighting game community is not fantastic, and I don't know that I can convince that many of them to play.
Well, maybe it might have to require you to play a more current game.
Right. There's a really huge Super Smash Brothers Melee scene in Alaska, actually.
Oh,
I've
really?
definitely thought about like going and making contact with them. 'Cause I used to play Melee before I played Third Strike. Melee was like the main game that I played, even though I was never like any good at it. So I've thought about like, because they have a lot of comparisons with us, right? Like they also play a really old game that also requires really old specific hardware. They're like 1,000 times more likely to understand when you need a CRT. Like you can't play on a fucking LCD. So I feel like if there was anyone I could build a relationship with, maybe it's them.
And it's funny because we were actually talking about it before we came back on, that in what do the Smash players do compared to the Third Strike players that makes the big difference, in terms of organizing or getting the community together the way they do it.
I kind of get the sense from the Smash community, and I watched a video about it earlier, is that all the Smash Melee players are kind of like in line with putting like a united front of the scene out, and they're like they're all on social media. Like every single one of them's on Twitter, and they all got their own followers. And every time anyone's having an event, like they all tweet it out, right? Like they're all in it together. They talked about how social media presence was really important. Like I feel like a lot of Third Strike players probably, if they're on social media, they aren't like what's the word? They're not connected, right?
One
of the things, Lance, that when me and Lloyd kind of started the This Is Third Strike thing, or you started to revive it, one of the things that we kept asking people to do is, hey, if you're running a Third Strike stream, if you're running a Third Strike tournament, We don't care if you live in the UK. We don't care if you live in Yugoslavia. We don't care if you live in Mongolia. Drop a line on the Facebook page. Email us, and we'll blow it up. And some people, they post on the Facebook page. Some people reach out to us. But I think you're right, Lance. Like, if there's a Third Strike tournament, like, they post on Junkies, but no one really retweets. No one really
Right.
reposts. So you're saying that you think that one of the biggest differences is that when say for example some guy runs a Smash tournament in like Topeka, Kansas, right?
Yeah, right.
Topeka, Kansas, and someone puts it on Facebook. So you're saying that the Smash community, other people, they don't even have to live in the Kansas area. They're more likely to kind of retweet that event. Is that what
Right,
you're
like-
trying to say?
Yeah, like all the, it's not just like top players, but like every community has their group of people who are like high profile people, even if they're not the best players. Like all those high profile people will try to put that out there. Like, oh, there's a tournament coming up this weekend. Here's the stream for it. Here's where you got to go. Like there's just, it's like a network, right? It's a network of Melee players. And I feel like we could definitely build that for Third Strike.
Well, Third Strike Junkies tries to be that. What do you think is keep holding Third Strike Junkies back? I mean, why can't Third Strike Junkies be that hub or be
I think a long-standing thing that's held Third Strike community back is there's very distinct scenes in America, and they don't really interact that much.
It's very
And I feel
territorial.
Like it may be an ego thing, and it may be just we ain't got the money, right? It could be a combination of both.
But
But,
did
you
you
know,
say
like when-
exo thing or ego thing? I'm sorry,
Ego.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh,
Oh
sorry.
my
Oh,
God.
okay, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Like
I
one
kinda-
primary example of the territorial thing, like not necessarily Texas, and like one example would be like Texas, like they they have a stream, they promote their Third Strike scene, like Fubar Duck, he has his own Twitter, he's very high profile,
Right.
and yet not many people watch the stream like that when they do it, and it's like we kind of it's one of those territorial things where it's like they don't really promote it like that, but they could,
Right.
and it's just they I guess they choose not to, they don't, or they just get lazy or something, but it's like it's possible, but I think it's just one of those things that people have to start getting on top of, that everybody's starting to get used to the name of This Is Third Strike, and we're here to promote that kind of thing. So it's I always emphasize the fact that we're all doing this like for each other. We're not doing it for a specific scene. So for
Well,
little
most of
things,
us.
whatever. For what speaking specifically, like with something like Texas, because that's a pretty good scene. Like they have a lot of players there. They have Yuki there too. He can basically take the reins and say like, okay guys, like like every time there's a Third Strike tournament, like I'll show up or something like that. I mean,
Well,
even though
but that's
even
the-
though he's
that's-
not going to, but
Uh-huh. Well,
You know.
but that's the prime example, right? Like a couple weeks ago, there was a arcade UFO Third Strike tournament.
exactly, yeah,
Nobody knew about it.
exactly.
Why not? And I'm not putting a particular scene on the spot, but if you're running a tournament, drop us a line on our Facebook page. We will blow it up. We've shown in the past that if you reach out to us and you ask us, hey, tweet this information. We're running a tournament. We'll do it. So
Yeah, and like one of the things too is that like I noticed Katie Alpha, he's from that area, and he's saying that they're way too focused on the modern games, and yeah, that's true, but what scene isn't? I mean, even in Japan, they're that focused on the modern games. Even in New York, we're focused on the modern games. But it's like, there are ways around it where if you emphasize the focus on one specific game like that, one specific event, instead of just saying, "Hey guys, there's a Street Fighter 4 tournament, there's a Smash tournament, there's a Third Strike tournament." Instead of saying all that, you should simply just say, "Okay, there's a Third Strike tournament here. You guys should come out." Something like that. And for me, it'll feel as if there'll be more of a focus on Third Strike compared to that, because for us, we have Third Strike Fight Club, and we have like the other tournaments at the majors, and we specifically say, it's a Third Strike tournament. We don't say anything else like about the other tournaments because that's none of our business. So I think putting the emphasis on the game that we're running there is one thing that could help. So with KD Alpha's dilemma in Texas. It's like, they can simply say like, "Hey guys, there's a Third Strike tournament here. Come down to Arcade UFO and just come play Yuki, the top player, the best player in America." So, things like that could work.
Mhm. So Lance, what advice would you have, or what do you think could be like, one of the potential solutions to try and build that sense of networking, like the Smash Melee community has?
I think so. Anytime we can use social media to blow it up, because it's kind of a counterintuitive to me, right? Because I've never had a Twitter account until recently, and I've never used it.
Mhm.
But from what they were talking about earlier on the video I watched, they were saying like that's a big deal. Like every form of social media that you can reach out to is an opportunity. So you can be on Twitter or you can be on Reddit or whatever, and get the sense that it's like they're all pulling in the same direction, right? Like everyone thinks of themselves as a Melee player. They don't think of themselves specifically as like I'm a SoCal Melee player, right? Like they are all trying to pull in the same direction.
They unite under the game rather than the territory that they're from.
Right. And it's like we were talking about, like the scenes are so distinct, right? Like Texas does its own thing, and SoCal does its own thing, NorCal does its own thing, and the East Coast is doing it. Like everyone's in a completely separate, barely connected way. So like we get like an occasional person, like like Howism came from NorCal to play in Summer Jam, but I think we need more of that. Like pretty much everyone has to think of themselves like, oh, there's a Third Strike tournament coming up. I should definitely try to go.
That's true. That's true.
Well, thanks, Lance, for all of your insight. We're going to ask you to stick around, but it is that time to go ahead and take a break. But when we come back, we're going to look at a couple matches of yours, Lance, for this week's installment of Oki of the Week. And, we're going to look at a match that you had against Frankie 3S at Summer Jam. And then we're going to look at a match that you had in Co-op Cup. And perhaps you can tell us a little bit about how you see yourself developing as a Third Strike player between Summer Jam and Co-op Cup. So guys, stick around. Remember that you are watching House of Strikes. I am
tuned,
Foxy
guys.
XP, and with me is Nica KO, and we will be back in a couple minutes. Alright guys, welcome back to the House of Strikes. This is Mutant XP, returning once again. I hope you guys enjoyed Foxy XP's interview with Lance. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Nica KO, and we have as our special guest, the Warden of the North, the Lone Wolf, Lance. So Lance, you're gonna get on that Twitter game again very soon?
Oh yeah, I'm on it. I'm gonna make a Twitter account.
Let me do it right now.
I'm gonna
Okay, good.
tweet everything.
Wow, first Diaperbomb on Twitter, now Lance on Twitter?
We're making a difference.
Making a difference. All right, guys. So for our next segment tonight, we're going to look at two matches that Lance participated in the last year or so. And so the first match we're going to look at is a match that he had against Frankie, and it was part of a first to five that Lance ran with Frankie at Summer Jam. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this match. And as we watch the match, Lance, feel free to comment and just give your thoughts on what you think about what you were thinking during the match. Oh, that's not it. Sorry. All right. So once again, guys, this is a match between Lance and Frankie 3S at Summer Jam last year. I don't know why there's that square there, but never mind. And so, Lance, tell us a little bit about the context of this match. So this was a first to five, right?
Right. So this is first to five versus Frankie because I wanted to run first to five versus all the New York people, and playing Red Chun for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why you picked that color. So you won that round pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh.
I'm very dash happy in this match, like dashing or walking forward too much for no reason.
So one of the things that impressed us about your play at Summer Jam is you were very good with the anti-airs.
Ah.
You're even better than Gavin or Ahmed. Well, Ahmed doesn't really anti-air. He does other stuff. But it was very difficult to jump in on you.
Hmm.
We noticed that very immediately, very quickly. And so what is your mindset here in this situation, Lance? You know,
Oh,
when you have Ken in the corner,
right.
you know, well, you know, I don't know how you got hit by that, but
Well,
what were you trying to do there? Do you remember?
I think I fucked up a carrot throw, right? I always think if I can kill them, they'll probably take the carrot throw, but I should still
Mhm.
like low parry before the carrot throws to make sure, right? Like,
Mhm.
my feeling is if I have them in the corner, you know, like you have to like have a read on how much they'll take the throw, but
Mhm.
you should definitely win if you have them in the corner. Like that should be the end of the round, because you can carrot throw, or you can like close roundhouse, you can back the air, stand strong, low short, low forward, low jab, low forward, which is like an unjumpable string. Like there's no reason that you shouldn't basically win the round off of that situation if you have meter.
Mhm. And so, what are some of the things that you know that you try and keep in mind when you face when you go into that matchup, Ken versus Chun? Because obviously
Mm,
it's a very common matchup in Third Strike.
right. I feel like Chun should beat Ken, right? But like his footsie tools are
Chun
such
should
that
beat everyone, right?
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. But his footsie tools are like it's very easy if your footsies aren't strong or if you're not comfortable. You can very easily get pushed back into the corner. Like it's so easy to lose round one because you walked backwards too much trying to bait a whiff, and then you ended up in the corner and you got a knockdown, and now you have no meter, and now he's fucking you up. So
Mhm.
I want to make sure that I like hold my ground, or if they jump in at me, that I dash under. Basically, I just like don't let them push me backwards and don't let them bully me. I think that's the important Chun vs Ken thing.
Mm.
Mhm. And so
Um,
we're gonna go to the complete opposite extreme,
right. Yeah,
and we're
for
gonna
sure.
look at a match that you had at Co-op Cup, and this was during the playoff, I believe, and this was against Take, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm
Yep.
wrong. Take, a very strong Remy player, and so let's see if I can adjust the screen here. And so this is obviously joined in progress because that's the way Co-op Cup streams. You know,
Yeah.
they're obviously showing footage from different matches. And so, what's your familiarity with this matchup, Lance?
I played Everdread at Summer Jam three
Uh huh.
times, and I think that's it.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
So maybe more than three times, but yeah, I
All
never
right.
played with Remy.
Well, Everchard is actually an old school Remy player too, so playing him is kind of he knows a lot about Remy's normals and the pressure to uh
Right.
to get the right damage. So these type of setups, like he does probably do them.
Hmm.
So it's probably some of it is probably not too much of a surprise.
Right.
Hmm.
It's kind of too late to criticize the dashing, but okay.
Yeah.
And so, you look like you're kind of in control here. I mean, even though you're low on life, it seems like you have them. Mm.
Yeah. Hmm. Some choices I don't agree with that I'm making.
Yeah, like there was one moment you had him on a parry on a standing forward,
Mhm.
and you
Right.
did standing
Like,
fierce instead of back
fierce.
fierce.
Yeah. Oh, this is pretty sad. So,
So,
oh dear.
so what were you trying to do to get out of the corner? Just poke your way out of the corner, I guess.
It's really trying anything, but
Yeah.
none of it worked. So like I dash up. I'm guessing I would do that because I thought he might jump me. I could dash under him, but it's
Mhm.
a good idea. And then I do stand roundhouse. He does like neutral jump roundhouse to beat that. I do EX spinning bird. He beats that. So yeah, pretty much I made the wrong choice every single time in the corner.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's how that round went.
And so I guess you say your familiarity with that matchup was pretty low.
Mm.
But considering he almost took it, I mean that's pretty not
Mhm.
bad for only 3 matches of experience. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, Take's no slouch. So
Or
How did you?
that's how I console myself is remembering that, or at least I tell myself like, okay, this guy's been playing for years. He's been playing for the top chuns, so of course
Mhm.
he's gonna know the match way better than me.
Mhm.
But that's like a temporary excuse, right? Like I feel like the end goal is that you need to know every single match. You can't go to Japan and be like, oh, don't know how to fight versus Elena and Remy, so it's not really my fault I lost. Like you kind of, if you're gonna go to Japan, you need to know every single match.
yeah,
Mhm.
but it's not like you expected to win the entire thing, anyways. So
Right.
it was still a good experience right there.
And one of the things that I remembered about the old school family fun scene is that there were a lot of players that used different characters. And so, for anyone trying to revive their scene in your neck of the woods, it's important that you try and acquire that familiarity with different matches by encouraging people who want to use characters that aren't necessarily quote
Good.
unquote top tier
Right.
or good, like ibuki, for example.
Mhm.
Ibuki scares the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like a really strong ibuki scares the shit out of me. I mean, I'm a necro player, so almost every character scares the shit out of me, including my own character. But like yeah, like an ibuki player.
Like
What else? Like,
you have this one fear that if we go to co-op cup and we play like a random
we're gonna get
12 player,
OCV'd by an ibuki,
by a 12 player, you said.
by a 12 and an ibuki player. Either a 12 or an ibuki player, we're gonna get OCV'd
Yeah.
by those two characters.
That's basically what happened to our first Milky Boys. The first team we played, we were ahead by like 3 guys. Like we had our Ken player lost to the ibuki, and then we had 2 Yuns and a Chun, and we only had to beat ibuki. So I'm like, of course we're gonna win. Like, how can 2 Yuns and a Chun lose to ibuki? But like, we found a way. We found a way to lose. But like, no one in America really knows the matchup. Well, I can't say no one, but most people don't know enough about ibuki.
hmm And that's a shame because in the old CF days, like when I first moved to New York around 2000, 2006, 2007, in CF we had a really good diversity of players. We had a really good ibuki player, we had some urien players, we had a makoto player, we even had somebody who was maining necro and 12 and things of that nature. And so, it's but it's a challenge, right?
Hmm.
To kind of
Yeah.
because there's this American mindset, right? Like you want to win, 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 win. And so if you are using a character that isn't that great, then it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that if you want to grow your scene, that you encourage those players who are using lower tier characters to keep using those characters.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, pick up another character, but don't leave that character. So, what did you after you lost to Take? I mean, did you do any? Did you go to the lab? Did you be like, okay, I'm gonna know this matchup now, or did you look up frame data? I mean, is there anything specific that you did after losing to Take? Did you ask any questions or?
I sat in training mode, and I've started doing this with every character. Because like with the universal thing for me in Tokyo, is that I do pretty well versus like the top 8 characters. Like I definitely feel like I know those matches better. But anyone from like Elena down on the tier list, I know nothing. So I've just been sitting in the training mode, like where can I space this poke where it beats everything, or like can I react to this thing? Like where exactly should I stand versus Alex or versus Remy? So it's been general like that. But yeah, I just spend all that training mode time. So that's pretty much my option is to play. It's like figure out those spacings in training mode.
Yeah, I always thought that 3SO, the best part about 3SO is the training mode.
For
It
sure.
has one of the best training modes in any fighting game, really.
Yeah, like you can just
Probably-
record like saves,
Yeah.
like you can do a save state and then just have them like doing random moves, walking forward and backwards, doing random jumps, and like just practice playing footsies versus it. Like Remy's just doing things that Remy's do, and you don't remember the pattern, and you just practice against it.
I
Try
mean,
to
if there
react to
was
everything you do.
if there was some way to kind of combine the 3SO training mode with the Lua script, I mean, that would be like the ultimate training mode. Because
Yeah,
I think 3SO, the only thing it's missing is the inputs, right?
it's missing. Like
It's not missing other things, but it's missing the inputs. It's missing the partitioning meter.
if, for all the characters, I mean, it's missing the dungeon meter, and it's missing a lot of stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot more subtle things going on in Third Strike than what people see on the screen, and
Mhm.
I think the usage of the LUA script, like it's perfect for figuring that out. So, little things like figuring out the partitions for lightning legs, like that stuff will help out tremendously. Like people see like MOV, he does like 2 lightning legs one after another, and it's like he walks up and then he does it, and then he walks back and he does another one, and then it's like people look at it, they're like, how the fuck does he do that shit?
Yeah.
So but it's like you kind of understand it once you see how it's done.
Mhm.
So little things like that can always make the difference.
After watching your match with Frankie and then watching your match with Take, I mean, is there anything that you notice in terms of your evolution as a third strike player, Lance? I mean, obviously it's kind of difficult to kind of look at it just two matches, but
Hmm.
is there anything that you could kind of glean from it?
Yeah, I'd say that under pressure, I make, like I said, like earlier when we were playing, it's like, oh, I don't agree with that decision. But like under pressure, I'll make decisions that make absolutely no sense, like dashing forward into like their ideal range when they have meter or something like that. Like I think as part of continuing to improve, because definitely trying to do that is like being really disciplined about how I approach every match and carrying over that discipline into high pressure matches. Like you should play the same in tournament as you do in casuals with your friends, and you should play
Hmm.
everything you learn in training mode. Like, oh, I need to send this perfect range to hit this like that. You need to transfer it to matches where it's kind of useless.
That's great. That's a great point you make about the difference between casuals and tournament play, right? Like,
Hmm.
should you play differently? And this is something that I'm going to talk about in a future House of Strikes. But some of you may not know that I was recently in Paris last month, and I got to play the Third Strike crew from Arcade Street. And one of the things I noticed right off the bat is that the Paris Third Strike players, they play very seriously all the time. You know, it's casuals. There was no tournament going on, but they were all very focused. They all played very seriously. They all played very respectfully. They played to win. And so I think that's a great point that you make, Lance. Maybe one way to get better in Third Strike is to kind of sort of do away with that difference between casuals
And
and
tournaments, yeah.
tournament play. I mean, but then there's drunk casuals. That's completely different, right?
What's funny is that like I remember a long time ago that Pyro he did an interview. He did that interview with Gutex. It was
Hmm.
like those podcasts that he used to do. And I remember specifically that Pyro said that, you know, when you play in tournaments, you want to play your best casuals. You don't want to play it any other way because your best casuals, they transfer over to your tournament play. So if you play it as if it was a casual, but you play much more seriously, then it makes all the difference. So you don't really think of it any different.
Hmm.
So it goes back to basically what the French players are doing. They play their best casuals, no
Hmm.
matter what. So that's one thing for all you kids out there who are looking to find a distinction.
I'm sure the fact that an outsider was coming
There's
gave
that
them a
too,
little
yeah.
gave them a little added motivation to show their stuff. But even I think even if they didn't know I was gonna go there, I was very tempted to just kind of go there and not like tell anybody I was going there. Because I just kind of wanted to see them in their own element, to see how they play. But I don't think it would have been much different. I think that they just play the way they play, and it kind of shines through. And so, that's a great point that you make, Lance. So, we're about to end the show, and so it has come to that time where all of us are going to go ahead and give our parting shots. And so, since you are our guest tonight, Lance, we're going to go ahead and start with you. Is there any last words that you want to leave with the stream monsters and those that are watching House of Strikes tonight?
Any messages for the kids out there?
Any
Uh,
messages for them?
I only have one thing, and I say this like respectfully. Like
Mhm.
I'm not trying to talk shit or whatever, but I think that if you're going to have an Evo tourney for Third Strike, you have to respect what people expect to play on, and
Hmm.
the people in that region, specifically SoCal, are going to expect like they'll come if you put it on a CRT, and some of them will only come with super guns, some not. But I think you scare away a lot of players who are serious about the game by putting it on LCD. So I know that conversation's happened before. I know like a couple years ago, some of us criticized the tournament afterwards, and the TO wasn't like super pleased about that. So I don't approach it from like a criticism standpoint or talking shit. I just think that you should try really hard to push for CRTs because that matters to a lot of players, right? And if you need help with it, like if you can't get the setups, like there's people who will help. Like I am totally down to fly to Evo and bring 2 super guns. And I'm sure there's people in the Cali region who have CRTs in their rooms who could put them in the back of their car and bring them. But I think like Evo's a huge stage for Third Strike potentially, right? Like if you search Third Strike in YouTube, you'll see that the Evo video has like 15,000 views from 2 years ago. Like this isn't even when it was a main game. This was 2 years ago, the LCD tourney that I played in. So there's like obviously a lot of people who are like curious, like, oh, what does Third Strike look at like right now? And the Evo has like more views than anything. So it's an opportunity to put our best face forward, to put the best players on there, to put the best environment that we can do. And I think that's important.
And you said before, Lance, that Alaska has a really big Melee community.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, do the Alaskan Melee players make a concerted effort to go to Evolution every year?
Yeah, I think so, especially now that Melee's like a big game there. So, I mean, I don't know like what their situation is with CRTs, but that's another thing is like we can see like the Melee's like a perfect scene for us to get to know them, right? Because they're going to have like 10,000 CRTs there. Like
Yes.
I'm sure we can borrow two.
yeah, definitely. Okay.
Like pay them $20. Like we'll bring this back when we're done, you know?
hmm
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think we
Lloyd?
mentioned that on our last show, but yeah, it's a good point. Well, for me, it kind of basically goes off of what you were saying. I mean, not necessarily for Evo, but basically for all the streamers out there, all the people who are trying to grow their community. I mean, you know, we're your resource. You know, we're the resource here that's here to help you. So if you guys you know want to promote your scene, want to promote your stream, specifically for Third Strike, obviously, you know. Feel free to message us on This Is Third Strike on Facebook and Twitter. I mean, that's what we're here for, you know. So, yeah, we do our weekly streams. We get like you know a certain amount of people, but you know we can only do so much. I mean, you know, it's one of those community efforts. So, we hope you guys, you know, uh, take the effort and you know try to shoot us a line. So.
hmm And I'm going to use my time for the parting shots to once again remind everyone that 3S Fight Club 6 is this Saturday. But before Saturday's event, we are going to have a stream of The Shelter live from Next Level tomorrow night. And so if you are in the New York area, please make sure that you make it or try and tune in on the stream. Also, please buy a shirt, guys. We have a few designs up there. Remember that all the proceeds for the shirts go to production of This is Third Strike events. Also, make sure you follow us on our various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the Instagram we never update,
We never update.
and as well as Teespring. So, with that said, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We apologize for those technical difficulties that we had at the beginning. My computer does not like OBS and Spike and Skype running at the same time, it appears. And so hopefully we can fix those issues later on. And so I guess that's it. You know, we're really excited about The Shelter tomorrow. We're super excited about Fight Club 6. Remember, it's the last Fight Club at Next Level, conceivably. And so, you know, for those of you who are burned out on Street Fighter V, tune in to the channel and for some high-level Third Strike.
Big thanks to Lance for getting on the stream. We appreciate you, Lance, for coming on today.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
And so, yeah.
So thank you everybody for joining us. Please don't forget to check us out tomorrow at 6 p.m. We'll be live from Next Level, and then the next day at 1 p.m. we'll be live with Third Strike Fight Club 6. So I am Nica KO, along with Mew and XP and Lance. We want to wish you guys a good night. See you guys over the weekend.
All right. See you guys later.